Once upon a time, in a small, isolated village nestled deep in the woods, there was a legend that sent shivers down everyone's spine. It was said that on certain moonless nights, a ghostly caller would roam the streets, searching for those unfortunate enough to answer its eerie call. Nobody knew where the legend originated, but the villagers had passed it down through generations, and fear of the ghost caller haunted their minds. One such night, when the moon was hidden behind thick clouds, a young woman named Lily was alone in her small, creaky cottage. The wind howled outside, and the trees swayed in unison, creating an eerie melody that made her heart race. As she tried to distract herself by reading a book, a sudden ring pierced the silence. It was her old rotary phone, an ancient relic she rarely used. Curiosity mingled with fear as Lily picked up the phone. "Hello?" she said, her voice trembling. But there was no response, just an eerie silence on the other end. She could feel a chill crawl up her spine, and a sense of dread settled in her heart. Thinking it was a wrong number, she hung up and tried to resume reading. A few minutes later, the phone rang again. This time, the sound was even more haunting, making her hairs stand on end. She hesitated but picked up the phone once more. "Who is this?" she asked, her voice shaky. Again, there was no reply. Just that chilling silence that made her anxious. She considered unplugging the phone, but a part of her was drawn to the mystery. Maybe it was just a prank, she thought, trying to rationalize the situation. The phone rang a third time, and this time, Lily's nerves were at their breaking point. Her heart pounded loudly in her chest as she took a deep breath and answered, "If you don't speak, I'm calling the police." Finally, a raspy voice whispered from the other end, "You shouldn't have picked up." Fear consumed Lily, and she slammed the phone down. Her mind raced, wondering who could be playing such a cruel trick on her. She locked all the doors and windows, hoping to keep whatever was tormenting her at bay. But as the night wore on, the phone continued to ring. Each time she picked up, the voice became more sinister, uttering menacing threats and chilling words that sent shivers down her spine. Lily's anxiety peaked, and she could barely breathe from the terror gripping her heart. Just when she thought she couldn't take it any longer, the ringing finally stopped. Silence engulfed her home, and she stayed huddled in a corner, fearing that any movement would invite the horrors back. As the first light of dawn crept through her curtains, Lily felt a glimmer of relief. Maybe it was over. Maybe it was just a sick joke, and the caller had given up. She decided to gather her courage and face the daylight. With trembling hands, she walked to the phone to unplug it. But before she could touch it, the phone rang one last time. The fear returned with a vengeance, and with shaking hands, she answered it, unable to resist one last confrontation. This time, the voice was clearer, less distorted. "Lily, why did you hang up on me?" it whispered menacingly. Lily's heart pounded, and her mind raced to recognize the voice. "Who are you?" she managed to stammer. The voice let out a sinister chuckle. "I'm the ghost caller, Lily. And I'm right here with you." Suddenly, she heard heavy breathing right behind her, and she turned around to face the chilling reality. There, in the dim light, stood a ghastly figure, its face contorted with an evil grin. Lily froze in horror as the truth struck her like a lightning bolt. The ghost caller was no legend, no distant entity. The caller was her own reflection in the mirror, distorted, twisted, and haunting. A rush of realization flooded her, and she understood that the ghost caller was her own anxieties, fears, and insecurities manifesting themselves. The legend was just a metaphor for the horrors that resided within her mind. The twist at the end left readers stunned and chilled to the bone. It was a tale that reminded them that the most terrifying ghosts were often the ones that dwelled within us, our own fears and demons. And so, the legend of the ghost caller took on a new, haunting meaning that would stay with them forever.